All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out again. So you've made it. You're into weeks and weeks of torture now. If you're with us tomorrow for Torah, we'll have a good example as to why I think it can be helpful to know Hebrew, because you'll pick up on some things in the Hebrew that you won't pick up on in the English side. There's a really good example coming up if we get there. I have, as usual, I went back and I deleted about half of what I wrote out in my notes, but remind me if I don't bring it up tomorrow, if you're here, and I'll show you where that link comes in, because there's some word plays that you'll see in Hebrew. So it was a reminder to me. I was appreciative that I put the time and effort in to go through all of this, because it has a little bit of a payoff there, I think. So anyway, thanks again for coming out. And if we're ready, we'll get going in the usual format here of mouse back, running through some vocabulary. I take a volunteer if anybody wants to say, take the first, just the first two up there. I didn't pre-do any of these for you, so everyone just jumps right in. I'll do it. Want to take it? Go. Oh,
Whoever.
Carol, do you take the first two?
Okay. Adon.
Adon. Perfect. Very nice.
Means Lord and Master.
Sorry. Let me get to the screen where I can draw a line.
That I don't remember as
Oz.
Oz.
Okay.
Me.
Does anybody remember Oz?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then? Yep. Who wants to take the next one?
Off.
Off?
Also that word.
Yep. Nose or anger. Bobby, raise your hand if you know the answer and don't guess. Okay. Who would like to take the next one here?
Barah.
Barach?
Barah.
Yep.
And it means to kneel or receive a blessing.
Correct. That is a
Be
verb.
blessed.
It's a verb form. Yep. Yep. And do you want to do the next one then?
Barakah.
Yep.
And it means a blessing.
Perfect. Your pronunciations are really good. What about who wants to take this one? It is hoots. Close. Close.
Outside. That's right.
Outside, because you need it. You need a lot of chutzpah to go outside. Chutzpah. No, that's not what that word means, but you can go with that. All right. Who wants to take the next one? Chen. Yep, correct. And what does that one mean? Yep. Very common word, grace or favor. That's Grace's name in Hebrew, Chen. And what about the last one here on the screen? Let's take that one. Did you study, Daisy? You did?
I did.
Do you know this last one down here?
I think it's like some. I don't remember the vowels. But I only remember the letters. It's like. Is that no?
So I'll tell you what. I'll say it, and then you can repeat it after me. Okay?
Okay.
Hesed.
What? I said.
Hesed.
I said.
Do the k sound.
I
Hesed.
said.
Yes. And what do you think it means? There's only one option that we haven't picked yet.
Loving kindness, love, faithfulness.
That's correct. That's correct. Hesed is what your father is full of.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. There you go. I'm full of anger. I'm full of off. Right. Exactly. Excellent. Good times. All right. Very nice. I don't think I actually fixed these. I didn't take those out. I got interrupted right on that slide and I realized I didn't finish, but we'll go ahead and pronounce them and go through them anyway. So let's do this. Wayne, go ahead and pronounce this first one for me.
Kamal.
Kamo. Yep. And that's basically it's a form of the cough preposition, which do you remember what the cough means? Like or according to, things like that. And this end is would be something like his likeness. His likeness is the way that would go, but we haven't learned about these letters yet on the end yet. And so let's do this. Steve, well, go ahead and read this one for me.
Yeah.
So it's mimen, and this is a doubled, so it'd be mim, and then kind of hold that M a little bit. Mimen, mimem. And we've looked at mean, I believe, which means from. Min or mean or min means from. Min is often you'll see it shortened into a shortened form and attached to the front of a word. So that's actually this form that we see right here. So this would be something like from us, but you wouldn't know that yet because that's, I think, 1 or 2 weeks away before we get into what these endings are. From us, something along those lines. Daisy, go ahead and read this one for me. Eit, or probably something more like eight or et. And that one means time. Grace, why don't you give me this one here?
Pen.
Pen, which means lest. Lest they sin, lest they come over. I don't want to look too pretty, lest she'll kiss me. Something like that. Otherwise, something along those lines is pen. And let's see. Owen, Daisy. So you're up. Go ahead. Rishon, correct. And where is the word that we would see? There should be 3 letters in here that might kind of stand out at you. Which letters are those? The first 3. If we were to put an O vowel right here, it would be rosh, which means head. Head. So a rishon is the first, a top. That's kind of what it's there for. And I remember I memorized rosh from Bereshit. Bereshit. When began God, when the first thing happened. All right, Brent.
That's why head of the year.
Rosh Hashanah is the first of the year, the head of the year. Yep. It's another way to remember that. Shem, yep, which means name or reputation. We'll see that quite a bit. Jay, why don't you give us this last one here? Correct, Tachat, which means underneath or in place of. It has a wide range of uses. You'll see it sometimes used where someone is underneath, like under shield, which would tend, you'll see that in earlier text words before they really start talking about the depths, like the shadow of death would be under shield. So you'll see this terminology show up, but it can also just mean a placement. It can be used for humans too. If you have a son would be under a father in organizational order. So it can be organizationally, hierarchically, it can be physically, the table is under the drink, things like that. So fairly straightforward. Well, good job. You guys are pronouncing them very well. Very nice. All right. Who wants to help me out with some adjective noun endings? Let's, all right. You feel like you're up for this one? Maybe you're still learning.
I'm still learning.
Endings. All right. Then we'll move back to Jay. What is the, for if I have a masculine singular ending on a noun or an adjective, what if anything gets added there?
Majority.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that one. But if I have a feminine singular noun or adjective, that's a. And can you tell me what the a is comprised of most of the time?
Would be it'll be a pocket.
That is correct. A patak a at the end of the word tells us we have a feminine singular. Very nice. All right. Brent already knows. I know he knows. So do you want me to pick on you or skip? All right. All right. So masculine plural noun or adjective ending would be what? Eam. And do you know how that would be spelled? It is a hirik yod. That is correct. And then a final mem. Eam. And the letter for the root would be above that. Eam there. Daisy, do you remember a feminine plural? It is ode. Very nice. Man, you guys are like on fire. And do you remember what the last letter is? The t sound? It's a top. That's right. It's oat. That can sometimes come out as just a straight holum tav. Occasionally you'll see that in spelling, but most of the time, almost all the time, you'll have a holum vav there. Very nice. Awesome. Grace, you got some catching up to do. No pressure. All right. When we know over adjectives, just as a reminder, they must agree in, they're already up here, but let's say it together: gender, number, definiteness. And we learned some new things last week that are going to interrupt that level of definiteness a little bit, but we're going to talk about that today. Yes, Daisy. Oh, good. I will let her in. All right. Thank you for catching that. Thank you. So we will continue to look at this so that we know what adjectives and words go together. We haven't seen it yet, but you can have adjectives stacked. The big red dog. So you'll have big, red, and then a dog. And we'll learn how to know that they go together when we, in probably about 3 weeks, we'll start talking about how those things come together. But gender, number, definiteness, and we had some practice for this. So Daisy, why don't you read for me the top line up here and tell me what it means. You're doing good. Keep going. You got it? Im. Melachim. Mm-hmm. That's a tet, and that's a holum bob. That's an O sound. Tovim. That's right. That's right. Melachim tovim. And what are melachim tovim? There's not a the here. We don't have a definite article. Missing one last letter. Is it plural or singular? Kings. Good kings. Very nice. Good job. Good job. Steve, want to help me out with this one down here? That one's just a hard C. Malka. Ka. Do the bottom one down here. The ones. Oh, it is? Okay. All right. So this is Malka. Malka Tova. And what is a Malka Tova? Good queen. That's right. And do you remember what we'd have to put on the front if we wanted to make this definite? It'd be a ha. Do you remember the form of the ha? A patak, a ha and a patak, and then we have one other marker that's usually there. Space. A space. It'd be the doubling dagesh. So we'd have a hey right here, a patak, and a doubling dagesh in the first line. Oh, no problem. You guys are doing great. All right, let's carry on. Grace, you should be able to handle this. Help me out with the first one here.
Melek. Is that okay? Melek. Salt?
That's
No,
tov.
Tov.
Melech tov. What is a melech tov?
A good king.
A good king. All right, Daisy. Let's see. Did I already call on you? I did. So we'll give this one to Jay. Did I call on you yet? I don't think I did. All right. So go ahead and do this last one for me. Here, help me out with that one.
This is Melech. Oops.
Yep. Malchot tovot. And if you do that, cough is a hard C. That's okay. We may not make it to Israel to do that. Hey, Poppy, you're writing on my screen. Could you please not do that? All right. And Jay, what are Malchot tovot? Good queens. Perfect. Very nice. Very nice. All right. We'll let's see. Carol, can you help me out with the first line up here?
Well, Melech. Almelech. Hato.
Yep. Hamelech hato. Hamelech hato. And what is a Hamelech hato?
Yeah.
The good king. And how did you know it was the hay here? And what three things are we looking for in adjectives?
You're looking for the gender and the number and
Definiteness. Definiteness.
and the definiteness is in the
So they both match in definite. They both match in gender. They're masculine. They both match in number. They're singular. So in this case, it's the good king. But I'm going to give you the challenge down here and say, go ahead and read this one for me and tell me what's changed.
it's not definite because all melon and then told.
Right.
So there's no on the told. So it isn't definite. So they don't match.
So the way we would read this precisely is the king, a good one. So what we have to do is add, for English, a verb, the verb to be in the middle of this. So it would be the king is good.
Okay.
Is good. Yeah. And if you do what Gary's doing by kind of fully translating, it may sound confusing, but it helps you sort of put that concept together. The king, a good one. And you just kind of add that is, was, whatever the tense needs to be in there based on context. All right. Very good. Very, very good. You guys are doing great. I could have made it harder tonight. Oh, wait, I just did. Just kidding. Hey, Grace, get ready to read one of the. I'm just kidding. No, actually, I might make you read just because you've missed class. Just kidding. No, but maybe I'll make you read. We'll all have opportunities to read tonight. So we talked about adjective and noun endings and kind of some summaries of how those can work. One can be an attribute. So you're describing a king, and this happens to be a good king. Or Jay's wearing a jacket, and it's a blue jacket. That's an attribute of what it is you're describing. Attributes can be things you can see, things you can't see. Like a good king may not be something you see, but a tall king would be something you would see, right? Or a big king, something like that. So adjectives can function as like an attribute describing what that is. Like Daisy would say, I have a great sister. So you would be describing your sister as great. Now, that might be what you would say. I didn't say which sister. Don't say anything. So that's, doing an attribute, adjective on there. Another one that can get a little more complex are ones that work like a predicate. And we haven't probably talked about these words, but a predicate in this case, this use in Hebrew is for comparison, where you're comparing something. And you have two items on either side of this conjunction right here. And it's going to set up some interesting possible translations, which we'll spend a little bit of time to talk about. And then one is what's called superlative. In other words, the best that's out there. You're describing the very best. And so we're going to look at these three examples really quick. And just as a quick reminder, as to how they'll go. But first, I need a victim who would like
Wait,
to read.
I'll volunteer.
You want to volunteer?
I reckon I know the vocab word at the beginning.
Excellent. So we have a volunteer in here. Perfect. All right, Grace, go ahead and read
So,
the first one and then tell me what it means.
Amar Hamel Kartov. And something the king is saying.
Finish reading this last
Oh.
part.
El Ish.
Perfect. Very nice. Okay. So what do you think this one is saying?
Something about what the king is saying.
Something about what the king is saying. Okay. So and you said to the man. All right. So your Uncle Jay is helping you out because he feels bad
To the
for you.
man. No.
All right.
Well, he's scratching his head.
No worries. So Amar is a verb form, means he said. And in this case, it could be simply he said, unless it gives us a subject. And it did in this case. It's defining the subject. The subject you said, Grace, is these two words in red. Go ahead and say them again.
Hamel Kartov.
Okay. And what is a Hamelech Hatov?
The good king.
The good king said, and then your Uncle Jay helped you on the last part down here.
To the man.
To the man. That's exactly how you would translate that. The good king said to the man. And so in this case, the good is describing the king. So the adjective is just describing the attribute of the king. Very nice. All right. You think that that's going to clear you out for the rest of the night for reading, Grace?
Nope. I'm ready to read more.
Oh, excellent. Very good. All right. Brent, why don't you, actually, I'm going to give you this one because this one's a little more interesting. So go ahead and take the second one here. Perfect. Very, very nice. So it'd be something like that. The good king, for sake of space, and the evil people. Okay, so that would be kind of what it says literally, right? I mean that seems to be about a fit there, but would you consider that to be good English?
King is good.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Because you're in a comparison on the end. This is very common in poetry. Very, very common where you'll just get two. This could be an entire proverb, of sorts, and then it may have another comparison below it. And so you'll get these in here, and there's some flexibility that you need to put with it. Oftentimes, the good king, and the evil people. And you might be thinking, if there's no verb, which guess what happens often in Hebrew, you get a whole phrase and no verb. So it's up. And that's exactly how I learned to read it. The king, good. You kind of do that. Good. The people, evil. It's like that motion sort of communicates what's going on with that because it's a language that's spoken that way. So in this case, it would be rendered typically, something like, let me get in here. The king is good and the people are evil. Would be a smoother way of rendering that out. Okay. Any questions on how it's used in a comparative form in that way? Good with that? All right. You never knew you'd learn so much English in Hebrew, like English grammar. Yes. Just so you can learn Hebrew. I hated that part. All right. Who would like to take? Wayne, have we picked on you? Do you want to take this one? You want to take it? Perfect. All right. Go ahead and take this last one down there for us, the superlative.
Then,
This is noon, final noon.
one them stuck it in there, you know.
So min.
Bam.
Mhm.
And with the darn, no. Or is that a
That's a cough. Yep.
long, long,
Kim. Okay. Alrighty. Very good. I'll
you say it back there, or I said,
no worries. No worries. We'll do that right now. So this one, Hamelech, Hato,
good,
the good king, min, it's a preposition, from. This one's pronounced kol because this is a closed unaccented syllable. So anytime you see the kaf, lamed together preceding a word, just know it's an O vowel. Kol. Kol. Do you remember what kol or what that one means? Does anybody remember?
all
That's dom. Dom. Adam is full of dom. So I'm sorry. Did anybody say
all
all? So the the good king from all the
no.
kings, plural. The good king from all the kings. What do you think that means?
Best king.
The best king of all the kings. Of all the kings. That's exactly right. That's exactly how you would read that. So in this case, it's elevating the king that we're talking about as the subject is the best among all kings. Now, if you notice in here, and you wouldn't because we haven't gotten into verbs yet, but this clause has no verbs. We have to add the verbs into it. Okay? And that just get used to that oddity in Hebrew. Often for us to get to English, we have to add that helping to be. It was, it is, it's going to be, whatever that is, we have to add that in to it. So Hamelech Hatov min chol hamalachim. The good king, the best king, you could almost say, from all the kings. This is the best. This is the good. So very nice. Any questions on that? You guys are doing really good. Nope. All right. So we looked at this last week, and let me get my video back up where I can see this. We looked at this last week a bit, and it was an introduction, and I essentially gave you this encouragement to say, this is a chart you essentially need to memorize because you'll see these words show up often. And in a few weeks, I'll throw another one at you that we need to memorize before we start looking at dissecting verbs and some of those. So these are demonstrative pronouns. Do you remember what these are? This, these, that, those. And just like in English, Hebrew works very much the same way. We just grew up with this language, so it's easier for us to we just don't think about it that much. And so if I were to say something like Zemayim, this water, right? I'm talking about something that's probably near me. Could be in my possession. It's something right in the vicinity of me. Versus saying something like Humayim, and I might be talking about Brent's water across the table.
Yeah.
That water. So one is near, kind of in possession, close at hand, and one is far away. And if you haven't, you've discovered this already, that in Hebrew, you're starting to see that while most rules are reliable, 95% of the time, 95% of the time, those rules become unreliable at some point. Okay. So you'll see these uses, they'll be somewhat flexible. but they're important. And you'll start to also, as you read, we'll see a little bit of it. I think we might see some tonight. You'll start to see the authors do some really strange things. Like if we go back to this slide about the good king, sometimes you'll see in there a ze at the end of it. So it'll be something like the king, the good one, this. And I'm going to just tell you, try talking like that for a while. You'll not only have a headache, but someone might commit you for a checkup. Okay. And it's hard to process, but in essence, what it's saying is the good king, this one right here, that's near, the one that we're talking about. It's specifically identifying proximity. But if you had something along the lines of Hamelech Hatov Hu, then you would know it's that good king over there. And so it helps to put it together. What you'll discover that will be maddening in a week or two is that, actually going forward, over here, the who that we have is also the word for he or his. Okay. So if I were to say Humayim, I would be saying his water. I could be saying that, or I could be saying that water. And I'll only know the difference in the context. I'll only be able to pick it up by reading through. He, we'll learn in a few weeks, is means she or her. So if I were to say Himayim, I'd be talking about one of your waters down there. But I could also be saying that water. And again, you just pick this up through context. But it gets worse. Hema and Hem mean they, or as in they or them over there as people. And does anybody want to take a guess? Hena, Hain means they, them, feminine. You have a group of feminine objects or women, that'd be a Hena or a Hain. And so you'll see this use a little bit within the Hebrew, and based on context, you'll know if it's talking about this belongs to her, he, or an object that's over there. You'll have to kind of parse it out a little bit when we get to it. Now, the good news is it's not usually confusing, but it can be when you learn that the I, the you, the his, hers, all of these different pronouns that we're going to learn, you'll see these pop up again in that same list. So if you memorize this list on this side, you've got part of it already covered, so that you know how to do those things. But again, I just wanted to bring this up one more time tonight, and then share a little bit of new information with you. For noun adjective agreement, we need gender, number, definiteness. So here's something to just absolutely be aware of and memorize. It's very, very important. Demonstrative pronouns are what I would call super definite. Definite. Did I spell that right, Grace?
Yeah, I think so.
Any demonstrative pronoun is the most definite pronoun you can have. It supersedes a personal name. It supersedes his, kind of a possessive, although they can somewhat be equal sometimes. It supersedes the. So you can have a situation where if we were to look back on the other one, the Hamelech Hatov, ze, it could be something like, this king is good, because it changes up the definiteness in the phrase. So keep in mind, anytime you see ze, zot, ele, these, whatever they're referring back to, it's making that object the most definite it can be, and it will change the level of definiteness. So if I did hamelech hatov ze, we have a difference in definiteness in the phrase. The hamelech hatov are together, but the ze is more definite. And that means I'm going to be looking to add the word is, was, something like that in the phrase. So just be aware when you see it, the author's trying to tell you this, I want you to concentrate on this thing right here. And then it's up to us to figure out what that thing is. And so demonstrative pronouns, they'll show up in quite a number of places. And sometimes when you least expect it, they appear and you think, man, why is that there? You've already told me it's definite. And then you have to remember that rule of level of definiteness. So demonstrative pronouns, super definite. There's nothing more definite than those when we're looking at them. So we looked at this last week, and we'll try it again. So let's do this. Daisy, could you take the first one up here and help me out? Go ahead and read it and tell me what it is. Melech. Yep. Hazeh. Hazeh. Melech hazeh. Do you remember what hazeh means? We just looked at it. This. So go ahead and tell me what this means. So it can be this king. It can also be this is the king. Okay. Very nice. Very, very nice. All right. Gary, why don't you help me out with this one down here?
Yeah, I can see. Malek is the other one.
Yep.
The
This is a Zion and a Hey with a Segol. So Z, eh.
so there,
So Z,
say,
Z. Yep. Z, Hamelech.
Melek.
And what does that one mean?
Some count. This king. Then that's
So it can be this king, and it can also be this is the king. Because as I've shared, Hebrew doesn't really care about word order. It's up to us to assemble it together. It does care in certain things. We'll see that some stuff follow very hard and fast rules. But essentially, these two phrases mean the same thing at the end of the day.
I can put hey.
Sorry, I need to fix this because that is not correct. This king is the way this would go. Let me just delete that. Get that out of there. I missed the hazeh when we were reading. So this one is this king. And you are correct. This is the. And we have that because of the difference in the level of definiteness between ze and ha. Ze is more definite. This is the king.
The Melek.
Ze Hamelech. Well, since you got that one, go ahead and give me the next one since it's the same thing.
Melek. The
Hamelech ze.
Melek.
Hamelech ze, which means exactly the same thing as above. Doesn't matter. The word order in there.
Melek ze.
You want to take the Melech ze? Okay, go ahead and tell me what that one is. So we would say we have a difference in the level of definiteness. Our gender matches, they're both masculine. Our number matches, they're both singular, but our level of definite doesn't match. So we need to add that to be verb in there. So
this
is a king. Perfect. That's it. You got it. You got it. That's exactly how you'd write that.
He wrote it.
They do match definiteness
Because of
the ha.
no.
Yep.
So when it is by itself, then it's super.
Super definite. Yep.
With that, with that.
I can tell you, I think I missed this because I've never come across this in scripture.
Oh,
Haze. I haven't yet. I'm sure I will at some point. A lot of these people who put the books together, they like to pick that one of 4 times it shows up this way to be like, let me throw that one in. So yeah, I'm not used to seeing that form. I'll probably see it tomorrow.
Emily.
All right. Any questions about this, Grace? These are some of the ones you've missed. Do you have any questions about this?
No, not yet. I just get the stuff on my whiteboard so I can start memorizing.
Okay. All right. Any questions? This yet? No? All right. Good deal. Well, then let's carry on and do a little reading. So I picked some of the verses from your next. I gave you 2 handouts last week. One that's like a lesson 4, one that's a lesson 6. These are from lesson 6, advancing forward. So we can do 1 or 2 of these, and we may, let me see if I can find, there's some places we can break up the reading here. And then again, just get in the habit of identifying some things that we know. It's just seeing some of the stuff that we know and getting used to that, which, as I'll always say, you probably know more than you think you know. So who can I get to help me? We're going to read up to this. We're going to read up to this little mark right here. It's not a vowel. It's called an atna, and it gives us the logical break in the verse. The Masoretic folks added it for us to say, this is where you'd pause before you start the next phrase. And so when you see those in your scriptures, they're not vowels. They're just marks to tell you, take a breath here. All right. Which apparently you need to tell rabbis to breathe. The last one that I'm leaving in on these verses is right down here. It's called the saluk, and it indicates the end of the verse. So this one tells us kind of a natural mid break point. This one tells us the end. I've left them in here just so we can get used. I want you to get used to seeing them, because sometimes it helps when you get to the point of reading to be able to find that mark and know, okay, this is a pause point. It's going to be a comma, could be a period, could be a semicolon. This is a break. So it helps you think, okay, I just need to figure out what precedes this and not get lost in all of these words.
Now you told us the end and the little diamond mean.
They mean the end as well. Yeah. The good news about all of these little, they're called tamim, the accents. I've deleted all the accents on the other words. Hopefully I didn't miss them. But there's a handy thing about these accent marks is they tell you where the accent is on the word. They tell you where to put the emphasis. So we know that this is meraho. And we know that this is lahamito. That's where the accent comes. And you would give it some emphasis there. You might even hold that vowel, lahamito. Then that would communicate I'm at the end of that phrase. Okay. So when you see those, I don't want you to be confused, although it's really easy to be confused anytime we're in Hebrew. But I'm going to start leaving these marks in just so we can identify where they are. And sometime if you get the Hebrew text in front of you or Hebrew Bible and you see something that isn't a vowel, it's an accent mark. It's just actually how the chanters know how to chant. It tells them when to go high, when to go low, how long to hold it for, if it's short, if it's long. It tells them all of that. So they read according to the chanting marks and they know how to break it up. All right. So let's do this. I'm going to have somebody just read right up to just right here on this one. So let's do this. Jay, I'm going to give you the top part up here. And where's my next natural break? Let's do Brent. I'm going to have you come up to, I'll just have you take to the end. So Jay, why don't you go ahead and read this one? Brent, you follow him with the next one. So this is an U vowel.
That's a
Shurik.
That's a. I'm sorry, I was talking.
Okay.
Bahadra isn't that a protein?
So this would be va, year, U.
Oh,
Vayiru.
that would be. Remember what that
That's a holum, an O vowel.
is. So it's an oat followed by another
O.
o.
Oto. Vayiru oto. Holum. You got this first part perfect. Mera.
All 7 letters. That is.
It's a ho. It's a het. Sorry, yeah, het. So ho. 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 If you struggle with that, you can just say cook. Merako. Merako. Perfect. Very nice. Brent, go ahead and read these down here for me. Perfect.
Sorry. Ale.
Perfect. So very nice. Very good. You both did very, very nice. Very nice. Good job. All right. Mm-hmm.
M.
Yep.
Provide yod there's.
The yod is, this is a seri yod. So this is a historical long vowel.
Oh, okay.
If we don't have, as we kind of learned, if there's nothing below the consonant, then it's likely, and it's a yod or a vav,
Oh, that's this one.
a hey, then it will always be historical vowel if it's preceded by a vowel and not. Now, if this had a shawa here, then we would know it's a consonant. And so we would do ale yeken.
That's thankful because when all the videos won't be over here,
Okay, you bet. You bet.
where we go back to it. Well,
Yeah, no problem. So this is va yiru. In fact, I'll read it through and then I'll read it again. You guys can follow me, okay? Va yiru oto merachok. Uv terem yikra. Alehem vayit nachlu oto lahamitu. Sorry, lahamito. All right, so I'll do this phrase right here, and then you guys can repeat. Vayiru oto meraho. Okay. We'll do it one more time. Vayiru oto meraho. Uv terem yikrav alehem vayit nachlu.
No.
Nachlu. Oto lahamito.
Wow.
There you go. All right. So we'll learn this in a few weeks over here. Make sure I master our spot. This is this whole word here is a verb. You should recognize this first character, this first word, which would mean and. Exactly. This is a suffix on our verb, and this is a prefix that tells us what kind of verb it is. But we haven't learned that yet. So our root is sitting right here, ra'ah. Saw. That's where our root is sitting. So much like Hebrew, it's the words are like a present. You take the bow off and then you unwrap it and you kind of get into the pieces of it, and you just kind of have to unwrap the word, all the pieces off of it, to figure out what's going on in there. And pretty soon you'll get those forms memorized. So when you see them, you just know immediately. When you see, most often in Hebrew, when you start reading, if you haven't already started, well, I've given you some stuff to start reading, you'll notice that almost every phrase starts with a vayi or a vati or a vana or something like that. And this is the way Hebrew tells a story. Almost every sentence of a major thought will start with this va format. A lot of times it'll be like Vayomer, and he said, and then the next one will be Vayomer, and he said. The next person speaks Vayomer, and then he said, Vatomer, she said, or you said. You'll get this pattern, and it's the way to tell you that the phrase is breaking up. So this u we'll learn means they, which won't be a surprise if you memorize that table, because who and he and those words that we know, they will help us with that. And they saw him. That's what this verb means. They, this is the they part right here. They saw, and this is the him part. They saw him. What's the mem here in front doing? We learned a min prefix, M-I-N, from. So this is min attached to the front of a word. Okay. And we know a rahok is a distance, means distance or far away. And they saw, ra'ah, him from a distance. What's this one here? And so this is just a word you have to memorize. Terem means not yet or before, but beterem, it's almost always preceded by a preposition. Don't try to convert it to English. Just know that when you see beterem, it means before. Okay? Because it basically means in the time that didn't. And so it gets complex. Just memorize beterem. It means before. Beterem. And before, so we have another verb form here. This is just, you won't know this yet, but this is a prefix on a verb. And before he, karav, that means to come near. Rahok, far away. Karav, near. And before he came near, Brent, you looked at this one. Let's break this one up. So all two. And we haven't learned about these. This will be next week, what these little guys are doing in here. But hem, we saw in that table of demonstrative pronouns. And I said it can have a meaning that's dual. Before he came near to them. So there's our demonstrative kind of attached to this word over here. Well, before he came near, they did something right here. So this and is giving us a flow of the narrative. By the way, Hebrew speaks like 4-year-olds. And then, and then, and then, and then, and then. That's the way it's written. Okay. And something happens here, kind of a more rare verb form, the yeet in here. But in this case, I won't break this one up too much for you. They conspired, or they organized, they got together and thought about something to do with him.
Cooking up your way.
They are, but they're cooking that up. So this u we see on the end is they, that's the masculine plural, conspired against him. Masculine singular. This one, what's this?
Yeah.
The la, the word la. It's a preposition. Do you remember that one? I'll give you a hint down here. To. This is another verb form, so I'm not going to This is the prefix of the verb. This is the suffix of the verb. The root in this one is right here. I don't know if we've learned this yet. I think you did. You probably learned it as moat. Death. Yes. Yes. And do you notice this, Carol? What's the difference between meat and moat?
There isn't.
So there isn't. Yeah.
So it has to be that vowel and the yod go together.
So this is actually part of the verb form. In this case, it's called a Hethel verb form. Lahamito. And so what happens is this vav that we would expect to be in here gets converted to a yod. Don't you love Hebrew? But here's the good news about Hebrew. Once you know your verb forms, you'll just immediately know it. You'll just know. But these weak letters, they will sometimes do some odd and strange things to us. Here's the really good news about that. It'll be around Halloween before we start to, maybe, let's see, what's before Halloween?
Maybe Christmas.
Maybe Veterans Day is November, something earlier in October, or maybe later in September, before we start to look at the really weird stuff, like this, where we start to see some of the changes. But by then, if you know your vocabulary, because here's what I want you to pick up, Carol. Mem, tav. Those two endings can be enough for me to think moat. You know why?
Just leave out the vowel.
There's no other mem tav words. So if you know your vocabulary and you see that, and you'll think, well, what fits in here? What is it that could fit in here? So they conspired against him to, and this Hethel form is causative, you're going to do something on purpose, to cause his moat, to cause his death. Yep. Okay. All right. What time are we? We're 7:00. Let's, we'll read one more here and then, so let's see. Our breaks on this one are right here. So that's not a vowel. So this is the natural break in the verse. Shows up here, or at least according to the Masoretes. This is where it should break up. All right. So let's do this. Robin, would you like to try the top line here? So I want you to read just up to the purple. And then I'm going to give the last part to Grace down here. So go ahead, Robin. Perfect. Got it. You're going to marry one of these in a few months. You're going to marry an Ish. Mhm. This is a het. So ach. Achi, perfect. So you didn't get fooled. Some people will think this is a final noon and want to say achin, but you got it. Ahiv. You got it. Perfect. All right, Grace, starting here. You have to come off a mute though if you want us to, if you want credit for your reading.
Shine, Ba'al, Halmot,
Halomot.
Halamot, Hala, Halazer,
Mhm. Sound of
Ba,
sheep makes. Ba.
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 Bah.
Yep. If you were in synagogue, you would say ba and let it kind of go out to tell you, okay, we're at the end. Yep. The saluk and the atna. Might as well start confusing you now, because wait till you open up an actual Hebrew Bible. What is this? What's that line? What are these three dots? What's that squizzle? They're just trying to torture me. All right. All right. So again, we know this word, right? This right here. What's that? And you haven't learned this yet, but we'll learn that in probably about 3 or 4 weeks. I kind of gave you a hint on this word, ish, but let's look at this root right here. Is this root familiar yet? Amar. What's amar? To say, to speak. Almost always introduces direct speech. Someone's going to say something. And we know that by the quotes. So when we see amar, start looking for where do I put my quotes in? Okay. So a man said to, that's this one, to. We already looked at that in the other one. Here's our root, ach. What's an ach?
Brother.
Brother. All right. And this is an interesting little phrase we have here. And a man said to his brother. It's kind of a weird phrase, right? But if you have a man saying to his brother, and they are saying to a man, and a man is saying to his brother, that's what's happening here. That's the Hebrew way of saying they said to one another. They talked to each other. Okay? They talked to each other. And what is it that they said? Well, this is what Grace read. They said, quote, hene. What's hene?
Behold.
Behold. Behold. It's like, behold. Look. Pay attention. Baal. Baal. Yeah. Baal. Baal means Lord. Baal. All right, let me break this one up here for you. We have a hey in the beginning of the word. What are you to do?
Hey, why are you there?
Hey, why are you there? Okay. And let's just keep going. We have a ha laze. I have the full hey definite article right here. Hey, patak. Dagesh. Here, I don't have a patak. Why don't I have a patak here?
Is it because it's a guttural?
It's a guttural. It rejects it. That's right. That's right. And whenever you have the hey type root letters, it'll just stay a patak. The dagesh goes away. We also looked at zays and laws. All right. So we can recognize a few things in here. All right. So let me clear this out really quick. And then we can kind of maybe put this together. So each one said to themselves, behold, Baal hamalahot halazeh bo. Well, we know this means someone's coming. We know halam is a word that we studied several weeks ago. What's a halam? A dream. A dream. So behold, zeh, this Baal. Do we know Joseph was called a Baal? It's kind of funny. Baal's just a word for Lord, master, husband. This Baal of dreams, Halam, he's the Lord of dreams, apparently, of the Halams, is coming. And here you can see how it can be a bit of a challenge. Halazeh, hahalomot, and then we have this Baal, kind of this noun up here. How do you assemble this together into a coherent phrase? And you have to start working gender, number, definiteness. So we know that this is this Lord of dreams, and we'll get to the why we know there's an of over here at another time. But it's Baal, the of, this Lord of dreams, is coming. It's on his way.
Allah's the end, just this.
The to this. So the to, the lamed right here, the to preposition is communicating it's towards. There's something coming to. But the key here is to know to start to unpack your presents. I have 3 words here. I've got 2 words here. Daisy, what's the oat? Tell me.
Plural, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Feminine plural. Anything else up there you guys recognize? No, we'll stop there. All right, we'll go do a little vocab. You guys are
What's that first word?
vi. So this would be vayomru.
So the M and the R don't have anything strong. Just
So there is a schwa. I'm closing the syllable in this case. You could go to another school and they'll tell you that this is an open syllable, va-yo-meru. But I learned it with va-yomru. But you'll hear some that'll say it's va-yomeru. Yep. Yes. So by sound, if you just heard the yom and picked it out, you would then be, what are we talking about? A day? What are we talking about? But in this case, when you hear it together, vayomru, you know that's one word. And so the vaya is an indication that I have a verb, vaya. And I know it's a third person verb. So now I'm going to hear for the rest of it. Vayomru, and I know that a vaya ro, that o sound following the yod, almost guarantees me I'm going to have a word that starts with an aleph. And there's only 6 of them in the whole dictionary that cause us problems. So, yep. Because typically the verb format here, if this was anything other than an aleph, would be a hirik. It'd be vayimru. But this aleph, because it's silent, just makes hassles. And praise the Lord, there's only 6 of them that we have to deal with. One is to speak and one is to eat. You want to guess what the most common things are in the Hebrew Bible? Speaking and eating. All right. So you'll see them everywhere. Good question though. Very good question. All right. Any other questions on that? If not, we'll do some vocab. You guys are doing great. Somebody, it seems like it just maybe has kicked in a little bit. Grace has clearly been practicing, Daisy. She lied. All right. We'll do a little vocab here. And then if you've got questions over the things I left with you last week, I'll be happy to hang around and go through some of that with you guys if you want to. Otherwise, you're good to go. I'll go ahead and say it, and then you can say it after me. So here we go. Hara. Which means to be hot or angry. So if I have an af hara, then I have a hot nose, which means angry. I have a hot nose. I'm angry. That is the idiom for being mad. When the Lord's nose gets hot, he's angry. And what you want is an af orech. You want a long nose on the Lord, because then he's patient. His nose is long. It's not a Pinocchio thing. Yeah, the author of Pinocchio did not know Hebrew. Or maybe he did. I don't know. Tabach. That means a guard or a cook. Think of that as somebody who tests your food or wine. Yafe. Yafa. All right. So yafe is a masculine form of something beautiful. Yafa, you should notice and pick that up, is the feminine because of why? Go ahead. Tell me why.
Yeah. I see the F.
You see the F? Why do we know this one's feminine or likely feminine? Daisy? Yep. The kamatse. Yep. Perfect. Ki'im, except or unless. It can also serve as a if-then in poetry and prophets. If this happens, or if God does this, then this will happen. So you keep an eye out for those. But ki'im, except. Lechem,
Like
lechem.
Lech.
Means bread or food. This is an easily confused one, just FYI, because when you see you see hem, sometimes it can be to them and not food. So you kind of just need to pay attention to the context. I'll get tripped up on that sometime. But just in case you're wondering, can somebody tell me what the word for house is? Bet. All right. So I want somebody. Let's go with Steve. Bet. Right.
Yeah.
Bet. And lechem. I want you to say the words together. No, well, that's not how you'd say it in Hebrew, though.
Like
Bethlehem. Bethlehem. House of bread. Bethlehem. Or house of food.
So
No, it doesn't. It certainly doesn't. Meuma. Meuma. Means anything or everything. So it gets its use occasionally here, but meuma can mean anything. Yeah. Anything. Melacha.
Malachi.
Melacha. Have we learned the word for angel yet? An angel is a malak. An angel is a malak because they're messengers, workers of God. But melaka is the noun form, just means work. So did you go to melaka today? Did you go to work today? Mitzrayim.
It's like
Sounds like you know that one. Did you know that one? Mitzrayim? Maybe not.
no.
No. All right. Mitzrayim is Egypt. So if you come,
Mitzrayim.
if I were to say, min, ani min aretz Mitzrayim would be, I am from Eretz. I could say
Land.
ha Eretz, the land of Egypt. And as we go through the Joseph story, we'll see Egypt pop up more and more. All right, last ones.
All right.
Mare. So we point this one out right here. Do you remember Ra'ah, he saw? There's our root. So Ra'ah is a seen word. So Ra means he saw, or it's to see something. But Mare, here's our root, turns it into a noun, something seen, or something that's appeared. And this is how Hebrew works. It just simply changes through suffixes, prefixes, or vowels, just changes the meaning of what the core root word is. Okay? Mare is a sight or an appearance of something. This is the easiest one you'll ever have to memorize. Nasa, which is essentially NASA, and it means to lift or to carry, like a lift off. Carrying stuff to space, lifting something up, it's NASA. So, Nasa. Saris.
Saris.
That's an official or a eunuch, somebody who's in someone's court as an official position. Eved. You will see this almost always translated as servant. It means slave. And as it turns out, you can be a son and be an Eved to your father. That's why English softens it to say he's serving his father. But I'm just not going to protect you from what it means. It means a slave. You are serving. There are paid slaves, there are unpaid slaves. I mean, there are all forms of different types in here. But the message the Hebrew Bible is usually trying to get across is If you're going to be an Eved of the Lord, you don't really have a say in the matter. He's the king, you're the servant, slave, and you are expected to do what you're asked to do. Period. And that's a hard concept to get through the brain. But Hebrew doesn't leave it. It's not ambiguous. Okay. It's not. Azav.
Wow.
Azav. He abandoned or he left. And then yes, im, or some will say im, depends on where it is in the sentence, which means with. And asa. Asa, to do or to make. So interesting things will happen here. The Lord will bara, create something. You can bana, make something, and then you can asa, do something. And you'll see all three of those forms used in the first 2 chapters of Genesis. Some things he baras, he just creates, and only God gets to bara. There's bara, that verb is not used for anything or anyone else in all of the Hebrew Bible except Elohim or Adonai. He's the only one that gets to bara. But many people get to bana, build things, and many people get to asa things. And so God, he banad Rabban for the Ish. He built her from, half of the man. And so you'll get these uses in there. They're slightly different. They come slightly different. All right. Any questions over the vocabulary there? All right. Then that's it. So if you want some help with that, let me know. You can email me, text me, whatever, if you have questions, need anything, and I'd be happy to help you out, set up a Zoom, whatever you need. But in the meantime, have a good week.